we're streaming. And looks like we're up and running. Hey! It's always a good thing. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. And first of all, I'd like to welcome back our regular co-host, Royal Astronomical Society of Canada member, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moonshadow Observatory in Hampton. Hey, Paul.
Hello, Happy New Year.
And Royal Astronomical Society of Canada member, Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Hey, Mike.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Welcome, everybody. All right, tonight we're going to have another full show for you, but it's going to be quite a bit different this week. We're probably going to leave out a couple of we're going to leave out the What's New in Space segment in favor of the fact of trying to teach something tonight, because we paid attention to your comments that were coming in on YouTube and on Facebook on what you'd like to see on future shows. So we thought tonight we would talk just about the constellation of Orion. And we're going to call this segment Constellation of the Month. So once a month, we're going to take one particular constellation or one particular part of the sky and focus on that. We're going to, we know that a lot of people received some astronomy gear for Christmas this year, probably maybe some new binoculars, maybe even a telescope if you're really good, and perhaps are looking to find out a bit more about where things are in the sky. And so we thought we'd start focusing on particular parts of the night sky every month. Tonight, with Orion as being the predominant winter constellation, or probably one of the most familiar constellations in our sky, we're going to try to look at, we'll start off first of all with a little presentation on the constellation itself, just some general thoughts about it. Then Mike is going to bring us into a talk about how to view Orion and some of the parts of that part of the sky called the winter circle. Viewing it with binoculars and small scopes, and then Paul's going to carry on and give us an idea on how to shoot Orion with your DSLR. So I shouldn't have said shoot the hunter, I know, when I started this show, but I did. But anyway, we're all here, so we're going to give this a try. And of course, we're going to take all your questions on telescopes, binoculars, stargazing, whatever you have. And so I guess we're going to get started first of all then with our PowerPoint presentation on Orion. So that's me.
Yay.
Hey! I'm just looking for comments. I see we're up and good. Okay. Let's go. All right. I just got to get to my file. And I'm going to have to minimize this guy out of the way and bring this guy up. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start presenting my screen. Now.
Karim says that his daughter's favorite constellation is Orion.
Oh, awesome.
Especially with the Betelgeuse drama from last year.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me get myself ready here. Slideshow from the beginning. I think we're from the beginning.
You are.
Okay, a little bit of talk about Orion, the hunter. And Orion is actually the 26th largest constellation and one of the most recognized in the sky, and it's best viewing really from December to February because it comes up early in our evening sky at that time. 2 of the 10 brightest stars in the night sky are in Orion, and it also contains a number of really deep sky treasures. Most of them are nebula. We'll talk about that in a bit. Well, who is Orion? Orion, according to Greek legend, Orion was the mortal son of the god Poseidon. And he had extraordinary good looks and great skills as a hunter. Well, that just says the same thing about all guys, isn't it? Okay. He was also very boastful. After bragging that he could hunt down and kill any creature alive, the Earth Mother Gaia caused a great scorpion to rise up from the Earth and kill Orion after a fierce battle. Quite a story. Zeus took pity on Orion and placed him in the night sky. Well, Zeus also memorialized the scorpion, but to keep the two apart, he placed them at opposite sides of the sky. So we watch one rise while the other sets. So Scorpius sets while Orion rises. That's a pretty good story. You know, probably believe that. This is the reason Orion is signpost, but I'm going to save these couple of slides, just showing them really quickly here, because I'm going to do another Facebook talk a little bit later on and get into these a little bit deeper. And I want to get these other guys started up in their part of their talk. So Orion does have many beautiful features, including Betelgeuse, Rigel, Orion Nebula, Damaran's Nebula, M43, the Trapezium Cluster, the Flame Nebula, the Horsehead Nebula, the Running Man, and of course Orion's Belt, which is an asterism. Now, talk about Betelgeuse. It is Betelgeuse, not Beetlejuice. Betelgeuse is the star. Beetlejuice was the movie with Michael Keaton. But, you know, really, if you call it Betelgeuse or Beetlejuice, it doesn't really matter too much, as long as you know where you're pointing in the sky. So, we heard a lot about Betelgeuse this past year because it's a quickly evolving, pulsating red supergiant star, perhaps only 10 million years old. A temperature of about 3,500 Kelvin, which means that it's cooler than our sun. So it's a different color. That's part of the reason why its color is what it is. It's 430 to 640 light years from Earth, moving away from its birthplace around Orion's belt at about 30 kilometers per second. And it varies in magnitude from 0.2 to 1.2 as its outer layers expand and contract. We've seen that recently as well. They thought Betelgeuse was going supernova here. Expected to explode as a type supernova, though, within the next million years or so. When it does, it is expected to be about a magnitude -12, which will make it outshine the moon. It'll cast shadows at night, and it'll be visible in daylight. Well, just how big is Betelgeuse? Let's take a quick look. Here's a little view of our sun. In scale, I guess. So let me see if I can get this to work. There it goes. So we're going to move out of our sun here. And we come up to the orbits of Mercury,
Astronomical
Venus,
Society kind of member Mike
Earth,
Powell.
and Mars. And here's the orbit of Jupiter. And here comes Betelgeuse.
Wow.
So basically, if Betelgeuse was in the same location as our sun, Jupiter would be inside it. So, pretty big star. Not the biggest yet, but still big. Then we also come to Rigel, which is the bottom right-hand star. If we're looking at the picture of Orion, or looking at the constellation of Orion. It's a blue-white supergiant about 770 light years away. It's twice as hot and 40,000 times brighter than our sun. We would have to be 200 times farther away or 5 times as far as Pluto for life to exist because of Rigel's supermassive radiation. It is a trinary system with Rigel A 500 times brighter than Rigel B, which is the binary system. I didn't know it was a trinary. I knew it was a binary, but I didn't know it was a trinary. Anyway, the Orion Nebula, of course, everybody's familiar with this one. Well, maybe not everybody, but we're going to talk a little bit about it. The Orion Nebula, it's a diffused emission or reflection nebula, about 1,400 light years from Earth. It's one of the brightest nebula in the night sky. Nebula are areas where stars are actually being formed. They're stellar nurseries, or they're areas where stars have ended their life. A stellar nursery with the trapezium, a collection of newborn stars, is at its center. And it can be seen with the naked eye, and it's actually great in binoculars or a small scope. It's easily picked out with the naked eye, and you don't have to be in that dark of a spot either, really, to get it. It's located in the Sword region, along with M43, about 40 light years in diameter, and it has given birth to about 1,000 stars. Most of the stars in this nebula are actually immersed in the gas and dust behind what we can see. A part of the Orion Nebula is Damaran's Nebula, but it's separated from Orion Nebula by a lane of dust. And it's about 1,600 light years away to the north of M42 and considerably dimmer. With M42, it forms part of the Orion complex, which is the general area, the whole thing. And of course the Horsehead Nebula, that's a pretty famous one as well. It's what we call a diffuse dark nebula composed of dust and gas where star formation is taking place. It's about 1,500 light years away, and it resembles a horse's head and a neck from Earth. Now, the swirling clouds of gas and dust are lit by a pinkish glow of hydrogen gas located behind the nebula, and it ionizes by the nearby bright star Sigma Orionis. Now, Sigma Orionis, which is in fact a 5-star system, illuminates the entire region. Now, the Flame Nebula is another key treasure in Orion. It's an NGC 2024, the new General Catalog 2024. That's its designation. The Emission Nebula, about 1,350 light years away. The Flame Nebula is home to a cluster of several hundred very young stars. 86% of these stars have circumstellar disks. The youngest members are concentrated near the cluster center, while the older members lie in the outer regions. The stars at the center are only about 200,000 years old, just little babies. Then we have the Running Man Nebula. You see a running man in there? Most people can once you take a hard look at it. It's another reflection nebula that is part of the Orion molecular cloud complex, all part of that same cloud complex. Distance is about 1,500 light years away, and the coloring of the region is predominantly blue. That's because the light from the stars that are embedded in the nebula, many are so young that they haven't developed completely yet. They scatter light more effective at the bluer end of the electromagnetic spectrum than they do at the red. The scattering takes place when light streaming from the star interacts with superheated clouds of hydrogen. That's what I got to say about that. Everybody still there? I put them to sleep yet? Okay. We're almost done. So we've got Orion's belt, of course, too, one of the most famous asterisms in the night sky, with 3 stars from the left, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. And 2 of the 3 stars are supergiants. So there they are there, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Here we can see the Flame Nebula and the Horsehead sitting in there. And there's the Orion Nebula, just below it in the sword. And Orion's belt. The 3 belt stars are not perfectly aligned, and their alignment kind of matches that of the 3 pyramids of Giza, while Orion's orientation to the Milky Way matches the pyramid's orientation to the River Nile. This has given rise to speculation that the 3 great pyramids were not just tombs, but also served as a pharaoh's gateway to heaven. The constellation Orion was also associated with the Egyptian pharaoh Unas of the 5th dynasty. And there's everything together. The Orion Nebula, the Running Man, there's the Horsehead and the Flame. And Mike's going to get into a little bit deeper focus on it. So, and that's it.
Wow. So Orion is probably, I was like last night where everybody was cleaning snow, and I started cleaning snow around round 2, around 9 o'clock, and I looked up and the clouds started to separate, and that was the first thing I saw. It was Orion. Like, wow.
No, it's very brilliant.
Chris, you photographed it at the same time. I like
Well, yeah, I did. There were some clouds right behind the trees, and they just opened up the same way. But it was beautiful, and it's always really nice now because it's nice and high early in the evening now. So you can get your best views of it, and easy to view with binoculars. It's spectacular sitting there, especially when you see it close to the horizon. I find it looks huge.
Oh,
huge
yeah.
at the horizon. Yeah. But anyway, that's our talk on Orion. That's a little bit of a general discussion over it. I know I kind of went through that a little quickly, but I want to get into Mike's and Paul's presentation here too, discussing a lot about how to view it through binoculars and telescope. And Paul's going to get into, of course, a little bit of discussion about shooting it.
Yeah.
So, capturing it. No, can't even do that, can I? Yeah. Okay, so that segment of the show and the one coming up is brought to us by.
Yes, it is brought to us by.
Yeah, Yills.
Yills.
So anyway, we want to make mention this week that our Gearbox segment, which is the segment that we talk about equipment and all the good things that you need to do astronomy, is brought to you by Learly Nature, which is now Astronomy Plus. In Longueuil, Quebec, Stefan and the great folks up there will look after all of your astronomy needs. Learly Nature, a great place to buy your astronomy gear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so Mike's going to carry away the talk now, giving us a discussion around the Orion, but also something larger than Orion, which we call the Winter Circle, and how we can do that through binoculars and a small scope. Now, Mike, do you want your presentation pinned, or would you look at the three of us on the side, or do you want
Oh, pin it up there.
pin it up? Okay,
Yeah, pin it up. A little bit bigger.
there we go. Consider
Brought
yourself
to you by SNAS.
Snazzy.
I almost typed in Saturday Night Astronomy Show. You know that?
Well, that's enough.
It's nice, right?
But again, it's so we'll get into it quickly. I'm just going to quickly talk about how to star hop. People talk about, how do I find my way around the night sky? And one of the easiest ways to do it is star hopping. And so this is going to be a little section on how you star hop with a small telescope or binoculars. So what's star hopping? It's a technique that amateur astronomers often use to locate astronomical objects in the sky. But it's kind of like reading a map. It's as simple as drawing a line in the sky between two bright stars, and it's real easy to do. So you look up in the night sky, picture yourself, say, looking at a map of New Brunswick, and we're in St. John, and we want to look across to find Moncton and see if there's anything in between the two. I would draw a line between St. John and Moncton, and then I'd say about halfway, what do you run into? Sussex. Well, all we did was draw a line between St. John and Moncton and Sussex just to be sitting about halfway along that line. And when you're star hopping, it's basically the same thing. You're going to pick a bright star that you know, like Sirius, and you're going to draw a straight line across the sky, say to Orion's belt, and you find that center star, and then from there, you hop down to, say, M42, and you're on it. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Quickly, I'm going to talk about what's called the Winter Circle and how you can star hop your way around the Winter Circle. And when you're out there, it consists of probably 8 of the brightest stars in the sky, and 6 of them make up the Winter Circle. Some call it the Hexagon. I say 7 make up the Winter Circle because I include Castor in it as well. But it starts with Sirius, Rigel, Aldebaran, go up to Capella, down to Castor and Pollux, and they're right side by side each other. You can't miss them. You come down to Procyon, and then back to Sirius again, and that draws the Winter Circle or the Winter Hexagon. Now, in that bunch is probably 8 of the brightest stars we'll see in the Northern Hemisphere. Sirius is the brightest. It's number 1. Rigel is in there. It's number 7. Aldebaran is 14. Capella is the 6th. Excuse me. Castor is 23, which is the dimmest of them, but you can still see it clearer than most of the other stars. Pollux is 17. Procyon is 8. And Betelgeuse is 9. So that's 9 of the brightest stars in the sky this time of year. Excuse me. Now, again, if you're looking at the Winter Circle, you start down here with Sirius, go to Rigel, Aldebaran, Capella, Castor and Pollux, Procyon, and then back to Sirius again. That's your Winter Circle. Now, in there is a lot of objects to look at. I'm going to start hop around and show you roughly 7 quick ones and how you get there pretty easy. I'll show you M1, Crab Nebula, M35, M41, 42, 43, 50, and 78. They're really easy objects to find star hopping around that Winter Circle. And it's real simple to do with a small scope or a pair of binoculars. So if you're ready, let's go star hopping. That's the end of the presentation portion for tonight. Let me see if I can get out of this. Now, we should see my Chart to Sill software in front of you, if I'm not mistaken. And in that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little line here. I'm going to start down here at the bottom at Sirius, and I'll draw a line up to Rigel, and then from Rigel to Aldebaran, Aldebaran up to Capella, Capella over to Castor and Pollux, down again to Procyon, and then down to Sirius, and that's your winter circle in that area. Now, this is the sky at 10:30 tonight. So when the show is done, you step outside. If it wasn't cloudy, that's almost due south. And it's the whole winter circle. You can look up and you will spot it real easy. All I'm going to do is get rid of the constellations and the names. So that's what you would be looking at if you were out there trying to find things in the sky. Number one would be find Sirius. That's the brightest star in the sky in the northern hemisphere ever, and you can't miss it. Everybody knows it. From Sirius, if you took a line and drew it up to the second star on Orion's belt, which again is very easy to find, you just take your binoculars and sweep up at about a 45-degree angle. You'll come to the second star, which Chris showed you in Orion's belt, and then drop shortly down from that, and you will find M42 and M43 in the Orion Nebula. So, and the Marian's Nebula. Beautiful objects to look at. Very easy to pick off with a small scope or a pair of binoculars. You can just go around and endlessly look at this stuff, and it's amazing. If you wanted to star hop even further, you go from Sirius straight through Orion's belt, and it brings you up about the same distance to Orion's belt on the other side, and you'll see a big V in the sky with your small scope or binoculars. That's the Hades. And the brightest star in that is Aldebaran. It's a big orange giant. Now, I didn't mark this one on my list, but if you continued straight on through from Sirius through Aldebaran, it'll bring you right up to the Pleiades, another beautiful thing to look at in a pair of binoculars. I think I crashed.
Nope, there we go. Back.
Did I crash?
You did.
Yeah, you
All
did.
right.
You're back again.
I'll go back to my entire screen. Here, share. Hopefully, we're back on the screen.
Yep, there it is.
I don't know why I crashed. I got too much stuff running here. So yeah, you go up, you look at the Pleiades cluster. It's a incredible thing to look at. The Seven Sisters. It's also the Subaru symbol. You'll recognize it right away. If I come down to Aldebaran again, where the V is and the brightest star in the sky, and I come over roughly two bright stars, you come to one called Taegwan, and just up from it is M1, which is the Crab Nebula. Difficult to see unless you're in dark skies, but you can pick it up as a hazy spot with a good pair of binoculars or a small scope in dark sky. Moving on from there, if you drew a line from Aldebaran straight across to Pollux, which are the two brightest stars, but you jump 1-2 stars, and as you're sweeping across, you'll come across M35, a nice, bright, open cluster. If you were just to take and pan from Aldebaran to Pollux, you will notice M35 in the background. You can't miss it. It stands out really strong. And it's just a matter of going in a straight line between the two, between Aldebaran and Pollux, and it's about halfway. You can't miss it. Following the winter circle, if I go from Pollux down to Procyon, and Procyon down to Sirius in a straight line, then about 2/3 of the way down, as you're sweeping from Procyon to Sirius, you'll hit M50, which is another nice open cluster. And it's as simple as moving your binoculars or your scope down between the two. You will notice M50 jump out at you when you're going between those two stars in a straight line. Another one, if you take and come down from Sirius and just take Sirius and drop straight down, probably the width of your fist, you will run into M41, which is another really bright open cluster. All you have to do is find Sirius and drop your binoculars or scope straight down. You will hit M41, and you can't miss it. It's another one that'll stand right out against the background sky. Now, if you're going to go from Sirius back up to Orion's belt, go to the first star, and you draw a line from the first star up to Betelgeuse, which everybody can find. It's the extremely bright orange star in Orion. If you looked about halfway as you're sweeping up, you'll hit M78, which is a nice reflection nebula. So just by drawing straight lines between two stars and sweeping your scope or your binoculars between those, you can find 7-8 objects across the sky fairly quickly with a small scope or a small pair of binoculars. So, star hopping is a real simple thing to do. You can get star charts and follow the star charts and look at them and say between Sirius and the first star in Orion's belt, I'm going to see 10 dimmer stars in there, but they still make a straight line. And if I follow that straight line, I'll get to the object I'm looking for. That is star hopping in a nutshell. It's a simple thing to do. You find the major stars in the sky, and in this time of year with a winter circle, you've got probably the brightest stars we'll see in the northern hemisphere, or most of them. And it's real easy peasy to find your way around. And all you have to do, like I said, is find that one star, come up from Orion's belt to find Aldebaran, and from there it's a matter of drawing a line across the sky and finding the object you want somewhere in that path, in that straight line. Now, the 7 objects I showed you are very simple to find. Just by sweeping the sky, you'll notice them jump out from the background stuff. Maybe not so much M1. M1 is a little bit of a dim object, but it is the first Messier object, and if you're out doing any Messier hunting, that's the one you want to get because it's number 1. And that's the simple fact of how you star hop your way around the winter circle. So that's the end of that. Now, if I was to say, something I want to get into astrophotography, which Paul talks about, I'm just going to pull something up here because I lost it for a second. And looking around Orion, there is so much there that you could just spend endless hours looking around just Orion. I'm going to pull up this picture. Where to go? Where'd you go? I had you 100 times. This one. There's Orion and all the objects in around Orion that you can spend endless hours looking at if you got the bigger scope and filters, or to get into photographing. That area is probably the busiest piece of the sky next to Paul's favorite, Cygnus.
Leo.
Yeah, Leo.
If you ever wanted to get into, looking around just in Orion alone, there is so much stuff you can look at. If you get into dark skies, I've seen, with an H beta filter in dark sky, I've seen the Horse's Head. They say it's difficult. It is, but I was looking through, it was a 12-inch dub with a H beta filter, and sure enough, you can make out the Horsehead.
Wow.
The Orion Nebula pops out. You can see that just looking at it with the naked eye. It's incredible. With a small scope, it's even more incredible with a big scope. There's so much around that area. You can just spend your whole winter strictly looking in that area and start hopping your way around and picking up the different items. So
awesome. Yeah, a lot there
Wow.
for sure.
So, can I ask you a question, Mike?
you can ask. I may not have an answer.
Well, there's a way to figure out, in relation to how far one star is to the other, if you're just like using your fingers.
Yeah. This is 10. This is 5. And that's 1.
That's
Or
10.1 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the moon was a half a degree in width, and if you put up your finger, that's 1 degree. So the end is stretched out at the end of your arm.
Yeah. So, right. That's supposedly, I think, 1 if it's not a half.
Okay.
And then 3 fingers is 5.
Yeah.
And then that's 10 between the two.
Between the two.
If I'm looking at Sirius to, or say the first star in Orion's belt, I'm probably looking 10 degrees.
Okay.
At the end of your arm length. If you got short arms, it might be a little bit further.
Yeah. So I wondered about that because I've tried to do that, but I could never remember how far like those were apart. That's a fist is how
Can
fist
I
is how
can I share
A
something?
fifth with a dice stick by 2 fingers. So it's the same thing as this. That's 5. That's 10.
that's 10.
So just double the amount of fingers you got in your hand. Say 10.
So fifth like that would be 25 because that's the furthest
25.
you can go. Right?
I think that's 25. A full stretch.
Okay.
10 is straight up. 5 is 3 fingers. Oops, like that.
Yeah.
And then that's either 1 or a half. I can't remember.
Can I share something with you guys for a second?
Yeah.
You share away.
Just hang on.
You're gonna make us all wrong here, but that's okay.
No. I just happen to have that right on my desktop. So we'll.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Just a second.
It's just something nice to share with people so they can go out and see how far items are from each other and how big something is in the sky.
I actually had it in my presentation and took it out. Well, there we go. 1, 10. Well, that's 50 when you spread them. If you put them straight up and down, it's the same as 10.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
is your closed fist, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So on the Big Dipper, is it from when you're doing the 25-degree one? Is that what it is from one end of the dipper to the other?
I believe it is.
I believe you're right.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to kind of give people an idea, if you say to them, maybe they're watching the show and you're saying, so if you look about 25 degrees in the sky tonight, you can say, okay, well, I put my thumb on the horizon and stretch my finger out. There's 25 degrees. So that's how high I should be looking for around 25. If it's more or less than that, then I can, of course, adjust it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of gives people a scale as to how to find things without having any kind of device other than their hand.
I think when we were doing the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, I know that we looked at this and said they were saying, okay, they're only going to be about 10 degrees above the horizon past sunset. Like as soon as sun sets, it's going to be 10 degrees. So I know I held my fist out at the end of my arm, and they were much more than 10 degrees. They were more like 25 degrees above the horizon. They were really high, really like inexplicably high compared to what we thought they were going to be. So, I mean, I know that is 10 degrees, but they were probably closer to 25 to start out with.
I wonder if that information wasn't from another part of the planet, or was it when it's really dark? Because they would be going down when it gets darker, right?
It might have been. It may have been that later after sunset. Like this was probably we were there, Mike. I think it wasn't too long after sunset.
No, not at all. And they were a lot higher than I was expecting to find them as well.
And they lasted quite a while, actually, too. So
they did.
But
I figured we were at the top of the hill and they were in a valley.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
you guys
so.
Was it from near the beach?
Yeah, we were at the top of the hill, just above the beach. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had a really nice view from there, and they did seem to last a lot longer than what they had said, but maybe we were just lucky.
Yeah.
And so we set up at the top of the hill, and actually we had I think I was live there. I had 700 and some viewers live, but a lot of people stopped by too to just ask us what was going on, and some people had purposely come there to take a look at the conjunction. And they said, "Oh, have I missed it? Have I missed it?" Well, yeah, you missed it by a day, but you really wouldn't notice that much. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, everybody around here was trying to take pictures of it.
Yeah.
But when it actually happened that night, we were clouded out so bad.
Yeah.
So it was, I think, 2 nights later or something, we were able to see it. I think Emil and Baptouche got a really nice picture of it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who else did. Somebody else got a shot of that too. It was quite nice.
I think Lisa Fanning, she's on here, I believe, and she had got a nice shot of the conjunction. Yeah.
Yeah, she did that display of all the different dates as it was coming closer together.
Yes, she did.
Right.
I had her photo here tonight. Why don't we start into your talk with him, Paul? Thank you, Mike, for that. Great information. And that gets us back through to how to find those things in the sky that we're really talking about. Paul's going to give us a little bit of a talk on how to capture that. Now that we've seen that constellation in the sky, we all know where it is. How do we photograph that, Paul?
You get a great big net.
Actually, what I'm going to do before I share my screen is I just want to tell people if you're going to photograph it, typically most people have a camera, like a DSLR, and most people have a tripod to put it on. And if you have one of these, which is just basically it's just a fancy remote control, so you can, it's just your shutter release. You can press, take your picture. That's really all you need to take pictures of what we're going to talk about here tonight, with the exception of a variable lens. And what I mean by that is like a telephoto lens or a zoom lens that you get with your kit camera. So your kit camera comes with a lens that goes from 18 millimeters to 55. So most of what I'm going to cover tonight are things that you'll see from, actually I'm going to go down to 14 millimeter just because that's what's on the Stellarium thing, but 14 millimeters up to about 50 millimeters. So that way there, anybody who's got a camera and it's got the kit lens, you'll be able to shoot all of these targets with that. So that's kind of what I want to show, so you know what we're dealing with in terms of, so you don't have to have a fancy telescope or that stuff I got behind me there. You don't need any of that stuff to see what I'm going to show you tonight. And secondly, I'm going to show you how to use Stellarium so that you can actually see what you can see with your own equipment. So having said all that, I will share my screen. Whoops, I'll try to. And there we go. Okay, so we up and running?
I'm going to pin that for you. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
You're set.
Okay, so so basically in Stellarium, if you want to see how you can see what I'm going to show you here in a minute, it's really, really simple to set up. When you first turn on Stellarium, you're always going to have this little box up in the corner. And this little box in the corner is basically if you'd want to just observe and not take pictures of this, because Mike was saying you can use small telescopes or whatever you want to use. You can actually use this square button right here with a circle in it. And what this is an ocular. So this is a view that you would have if you're looking through an eyepiece and your telescope. So basically, you would just kind of press this button, and this one here tells you the kind of eyepiece you have. So in this case, it's a 10 millimeter, and you'll see that there's arrows going forward and backwards. So if you want to use, sorry, I'll go the other way. 31 millimeter eyepiece, 6 millimeter eyepiece. So whatever eyepiece you have, basically that's and I'll show you how to put it in there. Real simple. So you would just go through your eyepieces, and if you're using a telescope, then basically your telescope would be down in here. So here I'm using a 105 millimeter telescope, and let's say I used a 14 millimeter Plossl. And if I wanted to see M42, which is the Orion Nebula, I just go to my search window and I just type in M42, and it'll take us right to M42, and there's Orion. So if you had a 105 millimeter telescope, which is like a refractor, and a 14 millimeter eyepiece, this is how much of Orion you could see in that eyepiece. So really, it's just a matter of if you want to put different stuff in, you can go to your configuration window, and you go to where it says plugins, and you go down to where it says oculars, and you just go to configure. And then all you have to do there is, if you want to put eyepieces in, they come with a stock of eyepieces. Chances are your eyepiece will probably be in here. But if it's not, you can simply just add an eyepiece by just simply clicking add. And then you can simply, where it says my ocular, say if I want to put in a Plossl, P-O-L-S-I-L, or however the heck you spell it. And then I put in my field of view, my focal length, and my field stop. That's it. And then once that's done, you don't even have to save it. You just close it, and it's automatically in. Your see right up there here. It'll be in Plossl. I didn't put anything on it right there. See, so I had no. I didn't put any specifications with it. But in any event, it's just that simple. It's the same as your telescope. If you own an 80 millimeter telescope with a 480 millimeter focal length, again, you do the same thing. You just go to oculars, configure, and you go to your telescope, and you put your telescope in. Or if you have a camera, you just go to sensor. And then, so this one here, for example, is a Canon camera with an APS-C size chip, which is the camera I just showed you. And then it'll just ask you the specifications of your camera. If you're not sure what it is, just go on, Google it, say specifications for this camera. It'll give you all the information. Throw it in there, and then now your camera's in there. So anytime you want to see what an object will look like with the lens you have and the camera you have, it's just that simple. It's already in there. So I just want to show you that quickly to show you what I'm going to show you, so that it's not magic and you don't have to know a whole bunch of stuff, because it's just a matter of putting some stuff into Stellarium and it'll always be there for you. So I'll get out of that part and get out of that part. And so so anytime you're looking at a telescope view, it will always be a circle because eyepieces are round. So anytime if you're seeing a circle, you always know you're looking through an eyepiece. When you look at a sensor, it's going to look more square like this, and it's going to give you a red box, and that box is going to tell you, how big the field of view is. More importantly than that is, okay, if I want to look at Orion and I want to take a picture of the constellation Orion, in other words, that's what I want to see. Well, I'm going to use my camera. This one here is an APS-C size camera, which is the most common chip you'll find in most consumer cameras today, unless you step up to a full size, and I can show you that too. And then down here, I'm just going to switch to what they call camera lenses. So right now, I've got a bunch of telescopes in there, but if I keep going back, I'm going to come across photo lens. There it is there. So let's go right back to a 14 millimeter. So remember when we first started talking about this, I said to you, your kit lens will go from 18 millimeters to 55. So when I was showing you 14 millimeters, there's only 1 millimeter off of 15. So the field of view is not going to be that different. So if I wanted to shoot the constellation Orion, you can see now that I can get all of Orion in there. So basically Rigel, Betelgeuse, the belt, the whole thing. Plus, if I frame it right, I can get Sirius, the bright star, Orion, Aldebaran, Taurus, and the Pleiades. And tonight, because of the position of the moon, I can get that in there too. So I can get all of that in one shot with my camera. And if I want to just take a picture of, say, that as a constellation, then there are some camera settings you just have to put in your camera to do it. I won't get into the settings tonight, and I can do that on a different talk sometime. But I just want to kind of show you, if you want to get a constellation of that, or a shot of the constellation, there you go. If you wanted to get something closer, well, then all you have to do is bump up. So right now I'm at 14 millimeters, which you can see right there. I'm circling it, and it's saying that's an f2.8 lens. The f2.8 just means the light sensitivity. We're not really too concerned about that for this particular talk, but then you go up to a 24 millimeter. Now look, I'm going to go back and forth between the two. You see how much I got in there with a 14 millimeter or a 15 millimeter? So if I had that kit lens and I got it open wide, I can get all of this stuff in there. But if I want to get something a little bit bigger with a little bit more detail, let's pump it up to 24. And now you can see I can't get all that stuff in there, but I can still get Orion, and I can still get Taurus in there. And if I framed it right, if I turn my camera, twisted it a bit, I'd still be able to get all three constellations in there: Pleiades, Taurus, and of course Orion. If we just click the button again, in other words, I'm going to use my zoom lens. Now I'm going to zoom into 35 millimeters. Well, now I can really get a beautiful shot of Orion. I can get the whole thing in there. And if I frame it the other way, like right now I'm looking at a landscape, but if I do portrait, which just simply means I turn that rectangle up on its side, then I can get a nice shot of Orion. And I've got lots of room top and bottom. So if I want to crop off maybe some extended stars, because maybe on the edges I'm getting some stars that don't look so good, that I can actually crop those out. So, but there it is. So there's the beautiful thing. And that's at 35 millimeters. And again, we're talking about Orion, so I'm kind of hanging around there because Orion is placed so well in the sky this time of year. And then let's step up to a 50 millimeter. So if I'm looking at this from a landscape perspective. In other words, my camera is, I'm holding it the right way you would take a picture of the family. All I'm going to do is turn my camera totally on its side, which is what they call portrait, and I'll be able to get a beautiful, beautiful capture of Orion. And if I was to put it on a star tracker, a little device that tracks the sky, and I expose that for long lengths of time, in other words, say, I don't know, say a minute for each one, and I did a stack of, say, about 20 or 30 of those, you would be able to see all the things that Mike and Chris talked about here tonight. You'd be able to see the Orion Nebula. You'd be able to see some portion of the Horsehead, depending on if you're using a filter or not. Betelgeuse and Rija will pop right out. And in fact, there's actually a loop that goes around the whole thing right there, and it's in hydrogen alpha right here, and it's called Barnard's loop. So it wouldn't be that your camera's giving you a funky looking thing going on the side. There's actually a whole hydrogen alpha complex that goes right around the whole outside of Orion. So it's absolutely amazing. And you can't see it naked eye. That stuff you got to do. You got to go to a dark sky to be able to do this. And speaking of dark skies, the best way to shoot these constellations in any form that we just talked about is to make sure that it's not a moonlit sky, because this month the moon is very close to Orion. So I wouldn't recommend going out trying to do much out there because the moon is so close. It's just really bright. And as each night progresses, it'll get further apart because the moon, of course, I think it's 15 or 20 minutes between evenings that it comes up later. I'm not sure of the time frame, but in any event, this is all captured very well under dark sky. So that's basically what I want to show you, how to take stellarium, how to put all of those nice specifications in there. So you've got the specs from your camera, your lens, and then you would be able to see exactly what you can capture with your camera. So then if you're driving in the daytime and you're driving by this beautiful, riverside, and there's a nice mountain in the thing, and you know that it's facing south or even east as it's coming up, you can say, you know what? Wouldn't Orion look great coming up over that hill? What a great capture that would make. And I know based on looking at stellarium that my lens and my camera will allow me to see this much of what I want to see. So if I want that nice wide landscape, I'm going to use that 14 or 15 millimeters on my kit lens. If I want just Orion itself and all its glory and all the jewels that it contains, well, I'm going to zoom right in and go up to my 50 millimeter lens. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. There you go.
Awesome, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great intro there on how to capture Orion. And we all love Orion. So why not have some memories of it to take home and share with the family, sell them some photos, that kind of thing, pay for new toys.
Like I say, there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh,
Just incredible.
you could spend all winter in Orion.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And all summer in Cygnus.
No.
And we do.
We do, yeah. And some of us do. We got
Spring is real. Spring is real.
We got about 12 minutes here. I think I'm going to try to run some photos, if you guys don't mind, because I know there's some people that send in some photos, and they like to share them, and we want to encourage people to share their photos. So let me give it a shot here. Christine and okay, let me see if I can find them. And get right in here. Alrighty, we got some photos from Trudy Element. Trudy says, this is the halo that was around the moon on Friday night before the storm.
Before the snowstorm.
Yes, before the snowstorm. Usually a good sign that a snowstorm is coming or the weather's changing when you see the halo around the moon like that. Handheld, no tripod, so I had the ISO cranked to shorten the exposure time. This is number 1 and number 2, which is this one. Shows a very small amount of lunar circumzenithal arc, I think. Now, I guess she ran that by Kurt, and Kurt thought it was more color from her camera than it was that, but could be.
You know what? They have such a thing as a moon bow.
A moon bow, okay. That might be too. In the wintertime too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're visible in the winter. That's exactly That could be it too. Kurt, yeah. Well, you're right. Oh, he may be tuning in. I'm just kidding. No, that could be a moonbow.
I don't know. I don't know if it's arced the right way or and not, but I just learned about moonbows the other day, and I had no idea they even existed.
Yeah.
Well, that's virtually what the circle is around the moon. Is the same as a moonbow. You just don't. The colors are there, but they're difficult to see.
Yeah.
Here's another one here with. She says a very small amount of number 3 and 4 trying to get the whole halo in the frame. So yeah, that's a tough one to do because you really have to be zoomed out for that.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
A pimple on the moon. Almost.
Wow.
Nice. This one came from Lisa and Fanning. So here's the photos that she had of the Great Conjunction on the 21st.
Okay. This is a separation.
Yeah. And there they are on the 23rd, the 25th, 26th, 27th. We can see how quickly they're separating. Great shots there, Lisa. Wonderful.
Yeah, she's got quite a collection of shots before and after.
Yeah.
What a great put together as a what do you call it? A montage or
Yeah.
Calendar. Collage. Yeah.
collage? Thank you.
She says, hi there. I'm not sure if I'm catching you too late, but in case I haven't, this was from last week. I've still been tracking Saturn and Jupiter since the conjunction. It's just as fascinating to watch them move away from each other. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and wishing all the best in 2021. So, awesome. Thanks, Lisa, for sharing that. This one came from Emma. Emma McPhee is a RASC member here in New Brunswick. Oh, hang on. Turn that off. No. Hit the wrong key here. Emma is a member of our RASC NB club. She says, hi, got this new book, month by month guide in our skies, how to gaze the night sky with binoculars, telescope, or simply using your eyes. So that's put out by RASC Canada, I believe.
Yeah, that's Nikki. They call her Nebulosity Nikki, or I think it is. She goes by. She actually after the RASC journal.
Okay.
She takes care of all the editing and stuff in that.
Oh, okay, right.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, I should have to see what the price on that is. I don't read a whole lot. I look at a lot of pictures, but I don't read a lot. Here's a picture to look at. Look at this one. Picture submission. She says, number 1, you showed me the moon. Now I'm inspired to paint it. Not sure how I ended up in the city of Venice. I guess that's why I'm an artist, she says. 16 by 20 acrylic and ink painting by Renat. Title, Infinite Illumination.
That's nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Renat was actually on a program today. I meant to, I have to ask her and see how she made out. Somebody from England or Scotland, I think it was, interviewing her. Second one here. Topic, what did I get for Christmas? I almost forgot that Santa's postal carrier brought me a pair of unlikely red tinted glasses to better see the relative tonal scale of objects at day and night. Perhaps can serve as double duty for astronomy watching. Never could find the desired red flashlight or the miner's headlight at my local hardware store to better see in the dark. This one was specifically sold to artists as paint by tone glasses to be used to clarify relative tonal values of objects to be painted in relation to each other, especially when the tonal scale is narrowed in bright sunshine. Makes sense to me.
Me, I like it.
You're way over our heads there, Renat, but very good. Darks are really black, she says, when you put these on. Oh, cool. Darks are really black. Well, that might cause something like Orion to stand right out.
I think it's like looking at things in grayscale, so that you can see how, like, the red would be a certain depth, blue would be a certain depth, but it'll all be in the grayscale, right?
Okay.
And where there's 256 colors or 256 shades of gray from black to totally white. With that, you can see which ones are the more predominant colors of something that you may want to paint. So that'll help you sort of focus on those specific colors based on the brightness.
Did you say 250 shades of gray?
256, I think there is.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go over to. Never mind. How many shades of gray? this one came in from Elizabeth Stevens. She says, I'm excited. I captured this one of the moon just after Christmas. Looking at the moon through the telescope made into my daughter's top 5 favorite moments of the year. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Deanna Merrithew King sent this one in. My first shot of 2021. I made it past midnight to capture the moon. Had a ring around it. So it sure did.
Beautiful.
That's
Nice
really
shot.
We got these 2 late ones here from Robert Gadet. Robert, we were talking about Orion, so Robert said he noticed that our topic was going to be Orion, so he said feel free to share my photos, and happy to do it. So there's nice Orion. Look at Betelgeuse up here. Betelgeuse, nice big orange one, and blue-white Rigel down here in the bottom right. And there's the Orion Nebula.
And like we talked about earlier, you can see the flame nebula there easily,
Yeah.
right by Alnitak.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops right
And
up
there's a
there.
bit of a Horsehead.
Yeah.
And of course, Orion will stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, beautiful. Nice shot, Robert.
Yeah, good shot.
And I get back to normal before I can change pictures. Yep. And there's this Orion Nebula shot. Awesome.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Well done.
Very nice.
Yep. Lots of color. Okay. Thanks very much,
Oh,
everybody, for sharing those. We always appreciate your captures and sharing them here, so we can all see.
I got the red
Everybody
monocle.
does.
I didn't get both glasses. I just got the monocle. It does make a difference.
I just blew
Sure
in on
does.
the red eye.
Well, guys, we got about 4 minutes left on the show. It looks like we're not going to have time for our Rosanna's fun facts this week.
Okay, well, that's the game. You know what? We'll do it next week.
Yep.
And
We will.
it's a really, really good one, actually. It's all got to do with what is the solstice, and why does the sun look like, and what is here in one sky one certain time of the year, and it looks in a different part of the sky at another time of the year, and
Oh,
talks all about that.
Awesome. Okay, that's a great topic for next week. Appreciate it. Okay. Anything else you guys want to mention tonight before we sign off for the evening? And then I'll have a What's Up in Space talk. Probably we'll go back to our same format next week again. This was basically a teaching type of an exercise, I guess. We all wanted to share little parts of Orion that we knew about. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this type of episode, because we'd like to try to do a constellation of the month, or a particular area of the sky once each month as we're moving through the year. We're coming up to spring. I really like the area between Leo and Virgo. So does Paul. That's his favorite area. So we'll be covering those type of areas in the sky as well. But to get you out there and just to get you a little bit familiar, they can look at Orion now. Say, hey, there's Betelgeuse, there's Rigel, there's the 3 stars that make up the belt. Paul's discussed how to shoot it. Mike showed us how to find our way around it. Star hopping is something that we all get into a little bit. Not everybody has a computer control. These little guys here behind me don't have computer control. They're all manual. So you've got to basically try to find those targets. And it's really nice when you do star hopping, I find, because you can kind of go, hey, look, I found Betelgeuse. Okay, let's find the next one. And then you remember where they are, because sometimes it's quite a challenge to find some of those targets. So they really kind of sink in a lot better. And I think it forces you to learn the night sky. So when you get under the night sky, you feel a lot more comfortable looking at stars, finding out what's popping out first, and which ones are which. And it starts to become second nature to you after a while. Not that I know that much about the sky, but I mean, I can step out and point to a few constellations now, which is really nice. Better than just looking at the Big Dipper and saying, well, I know that one. But,
You still haven't count Cygnus.
I still what? No, I refuse that one. No, we won't be talking about that one. We'll skip right over that one. We'll go from Scorpius to Sagittarius, and we'll leave that part of the sky out. Yeah. We might even talk about Lyra, but I don't think we're going to talk about that Cygnus. I think we've all heard enough about that one. Anyway, that's a running joke, folks. So let's, I guess we're signing off for the night. So let us know again, please, in the comments what you thought about our teaching type of episode tonight. And we hope to come back to you again with another one on on next month. And I just got to find out my sign-off notes here. I think I got some. Here we are. Okay. Pretty well the same as every week anyway. So in closing tonight, special thanks once again for your continued support. Thanks again to Rosanna for her fun facts episode that we didn't get a chance to run this week, but we promise we will run it next week. We're really looking forward to that. Thanks as well to all the great folks at Astronomy Plus out there for sponsoring our Gearbox segment of the show. And remember, we do love getting your photos, so send them in to the Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com, and we'll be happy to include them on our next broadcast. We're also looking for suggestions for topics for future shows. If you have anything you would like us to discuss, even if you have more questions about Orion you want us to discuss on a future episode, please send your request to the same address, Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com, and we'll do our best to make it happen for you. We'll also ask that if you enjoyed the program and you're joining us from YouTube tonight, please consider giving us a like and subscribing to our channel. And please let your family and friends know that we are here every Sunday night, not every night, but every Sunday night, at the same time to help educate you on the night sky. So for now then, from Paul and Mike and I, stay safe out there, everybody, please. We wish you all clear skies, and we hope to see you again here next week. And as we like to say, guys, keep your scopes pointed up. Good night, all.
2001 chicken coop salute to everybody.
Chicken coop salute to everybody. Here. Good night, all.